The film tells the story of two snake spirits, white, Bianca, and green, Verta, who venture into the mortal world and take on human form. Bianca falls in love with a scholar named Sean, but their happiness is threatened by the scheming monk Fahai, who believes that spirits and humans should not be together. Will Bianca be able to defend her love and prove to all that humans and spirits can be together? Sit back and enjoy while Tree Recaps take you on an unforgettable adventure. The movie kicks off with a pulse-pounding fight sequence between Bianca, the fearless white snake, and Fahai, the imposing monk servant who wields the power to control souls. Bianca is determined to free her love, Sean, from Fahai's grasp, but her sister Verta questions whether it's worth risking their lives for. However, Bianca refuses to back down, and Verta ultimately decides to join her sister in the fight. Together, the sisters take on Fahai, but the monk's strength proves to be too much for them to handle. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, Bianca pulls out her trusty jade to turn the tables. Unfortunately, the power of Fahai's attack is too much for the jade, and it shatters into a million pieces, leaving the sisters defenseless. Fahai, sensing victory, banishes Bianca to Popaga, an isolated location deep beneath a temple that no one ever visits. Before she goes, Bianca entrusts a baby to Verta, with strict instructions to deliver the child to Sean. Despite Sean's heartfelt pleas, Fahai refuses to release Bianca, leaving him feeling helpless and alone. Meanwhile, the green snake confronts Fahai, calling him out for his brutal tactics and comparing him to a monstrous predator. Undeterred, Fahai stands his ground, insisting that his actions are necessary to maintain order in the kingdom. Back at the temple, Verta is seething with anger towards Sean, feeling that he's weak and useless to her sister. In a fit of rage, she sets out to take on Fahai alone, determined to avenge Bianca's banishment. But when she wakes up in a deserted wasteland with no one around, Verta realizes that she's in way over her head. As she wanders the barren landscape, she encounters a strange creature with a fox head and a horse body, who attacks her with ferocious intensity. She stumbled through the dark forest, sweat dripping down her forehead. She had no idea where she was or how she had gotten there. Suddenly, she heard the sound of a gunshot and turned to see a girl pointing a gun at her. Before she could react, the girl fired at a creature that was chasing them. "Follow me!" the girl shouted, and they ran as fast as they could until they reached a dead end. The fox-headed creature that had been chasing them caught up, and they thought all was lost. But just as they were about to give up, a car came careening towards them, its headlights blazing. The fox-headed creature was too slow to move out of the way, and the car crashed into it. Another person stepped out of the car and motioned for them to get in. They had no choice but to follow. When they finally arrived at their destination, a woman named Sun greeted them. She explained that they were in Osterville, a place inhabited by monsters, humans, demons, spirits, and Rashkas. Sun took them to their tent, where they learned about the survival skills necessary to live in this strange place. But their peace was short-lived. Thieves broke into their tent and stole all their belongings. With no other option, they used the skills they had learned to track down the thieves and retrieve their stolen goods. As they sat around a campfire, Verta confided in Sun that she was searching for his sister and asked for help in escaping Azurville. But Sun warned her that survival must come first. Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of war drums in the distance. The fox-headed creature and his army were approaching, ready to take control of Azurville. Sun and Verta knew they had to leave before it was too late. As they attempted to flee on their bikes, the fox-headed creature spotted them and gave chase. They were captured, and Sun was killed. The anger inside Greensnake boiled over, and she fought back with all her might. It was only with the help of Simeon, the leader of the Rashkas, that they were able to escape. But as they fled, they realized that the bite from one of the spirits had turned them into creatures, forever bound to Asserville. With no other choice, they followed Simeon and the Rashkas to their territory, hoping to find a way to escape the curse of Asserville. As they trudged towards their destination, the Rashkas couldn't contain their frustration any longer. They directed their ire at Simeon, questioning why he had brought a demon into their midst. The cacophony of complaints reached a fever pitch, with some even lunging at Verta. But she was no ordinary demon, and the Rashkas quickly found out the hard way. With a single swift motion, Verta emerged victorious, leaving her assailants reeling. Simeon then reminded them of his leadership and their trust in him, despite him not being one of their own. Later, Verta found herself lost in thought while taking a shower. Her mind was consumed by the events of the day and the looming visit with her sister. Simeon's voice broke her reverie, urging her to hurry up so they could leave. Together, they made their way to the sorcerer's business house, where they were met by the man who had helped them before. But this time, his demeanor was different. He remained silent despite Verta's greeting, casting an uneasy aura over the group. The sorcerer soon arrived and wasted no time in revealing a dark truth. Astraville was a place for those with obsessions, a place where they would be trapped until they could let go of their unhealthy attachments. The creatures that Fahai threw into Astraville were there to help individuals forget their memories and start anew. But Verta couldn't let go of her obsession, her beloved sister. The thought of losing her memories with her sister was unbearable. They made the difficult decision to leave, but as they were about to depart, a fire culpa suddenly erupted, threatening to engulf them all. The group ran for their lives with the sorcerer in tow. The heat of the flames licked at their heels as they ran. In that moment, they were fighting for their very existence, but despite the danger, they managed to escape the inferno and return to their camp, grateful for their lives and the companionship they shared. The tension in the air was palpable as the Foxhead and his cohorts set their sights on wiping out the Rashkas. But something strange was happening outside their territory. It was dry and lifeless. Simeon, Verta, and the guy they were with were caught off guard by the situation. "What's going on?" asked Verta, but Simeon could only shrug and suggest they backtrack. As they made their way through the desolate landscape, they stumbled upon a horrific scene. The Foxhead and his minions had successfully massacred all of the Rashkas. Simeon had to hide, unable to watch the gruesome scene unfold before his eyes. Though it was a painful sight, he knew that they would come back for the Rashkas next time. But the Foxhead had caught sight of them, and they had no choice but to run for their lives. As they ran, a water culpa began, and Simeon tried to find a safe place for them to pass through, even as the ground crumbled beneath their feet. The guy with them was weak and powerless, but he had a good heart, much like Sean. However, disaster struck when a large tank fell on the guy, trapping him in place. As they were running, Verta looked back and saw that the guy was no longer with them. They had reached the point of no return and had to enter the safe place, leaving the guy behind. But Verta couldn't leave him to his fate and went back to save him, even as Simeon closed the gate behind them. Frustrated and angry, Verta lamented the way men always seemed to disappoint her, whether weak or strong. She considered giving up and letting the Kelpa take her away, but the guy's words stopped her in her tracks. "Verta, look at my face," he said. And when she did, she saw the face of her long-lost sister, Bianca. Overwhelmed with joy, Verta saved the guy and herself, and they went into hiding. Bianca, in a man's body, didn't remember much, but he could feel their connection. They returned to the sorcerer, hoping to find a way to leave the place without losing their memories. The sorcerer told them about the wish gate and offered to give them passage in exchange for their obsessions. With newfound hope, they set out to make their way through the gate and escape their dire situation. They stood ready to do what they had come to do. With Verta leading the way, they made their way to the Spirit River to collect their obsessions. Simeon had already gone through the process and emerged weakened, having given his virtue to Verta. As they began to help Verta, they were suddenly interrupted by the arrival of the Foxhead and his troops. The sorcerers fought with all their might to prevent the Foxhead from entering their territory, but their efforts were in vain. The Foxhead and his followers broke through their defenses, killing many of the workers. In response, the sorcerers transformed into foxes and called forth a powerful water blessing, attempting to defeat the intruders. Verta valiantly battled the Foxhead, but her efforts were not enough. The guy tried to help, but to no avail. Suddenly, the Foxhead removed the guy's face, revealing him as Bianca, a spy working for the Foxhead all along. Verta was heartbroken and angry at the betrayal. The sorcerers had to flee from the wrath of the spirit that had been awakened by the chaos. Along the way, they encountered a spider demon who offered them a ride. She told them about a place where the green snake could fight with Fahai, and Verta decided to take on the challenge. The battle was fierce, and Verta was thrown back multiple times by the force of Fahai's attacks. But she persevered, fighting again and again until she emerged victorious, shattering the temple in the process. With the mission accomplished, they had to hurry to the Wish Gate before time ran out. But the Foxhead was hot on their trail, determined to stop them. As they raced to the gate, the spirit stirred again and attacked the Foxhead, who bit the guy before succumbing to the spirit's wrath. In the end, only Verta was able to pass through the Wish Gate and return home. Back in the human kingdom, Verta stumbled upon the temple that she had unknowingly destroyed years ago. She met an old man who told her about the treasures that had been found in the ruins, but was rebuilt afterwards. As she explored, she discovered pieces of Bianca's jade and remembered the flute the guy had given her. As she pieced the jade together, she suddenly realized that the guy had been Bianca all along, and she was overwhelmed with emotions. With a renewed sense of clarity, Verta returned home, determined to face whatever challenges awaited her. Thank you for watching. We value your feedback, so please share your thoughts with us in the comments section. And remember, if you want to avoid a surprise visit from the ghost of Green Snake tonight, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell to get more updates from us. See you in the next video.